Hey guys, so I just want to make a quick video here going over some of the stuff about the Lightning Strike Slayer build that I've been playing. So I just got done with a long stream, like 29 hours, and I just want to make a quick video to help those people who maybe are struggling, who are maybe new to PoE and all that. As I think my video probably reached a larger audience than I intended, as in usually I'm not a very in-depth person, I'm not a very noob-friendly person, and yeah, I definitely got a lot of noob-friendly questions in my chat, which is fine, but I'm just letting you know, my POVs aren't that in-depth, but I'm willing to help and explain some of you guys. So I made this whole FAQ for you guys. If you're struggling with anything about the build, if you're confused about what to do, please read this. I'll link it down in the description as well. It's also my channel command, but I'll go over some of the stuff here. So yeah, it's the basics. So when do you swap to crit? So you swap to crit around like level 77 to 80, and it's just when you can get all the crit nodes on your tree. This is very important because if you don't have all the crit nodes, it's not going to feel going crit. And also keep in mind, there's no rush to go on crit. You can be dual weld all the way for white and yellow tier maps. So pretty much every tier up until tier 11, dual weld feels completely fine. Do not rush going crit. I know some people rush going crit at like level 70 and it felt horrible for them. So don't do that. And also you can use the shield like Host today or Highest Truth with the amulet. And if you do use Highest Truth, then you will also have to take 3 points right here, acuity, to cap your accuracy. So like Host today is a little bit expensive. It's like 30 or 40 C, which is quite expensive if you just enter in maps. While Highest Truth is like 3 or 4 chaos, which you probably have just enter in maps. So yeah, the Highest Truth option is pretty good. The downside is you can't use Carnage Heart, which is a really easy way to solve a lot of attribute issues that you may have early on with this build. So yeah, besides that, do not go dual claws on top of the crit. So if you do use Highest Truth, go one-hander and shield. It's not worth staying with dual claws as you have to upgrade them both evenly to stay relative equal DPS. And one thing I want to mention, non-crit should use Blade of the Vow. So if you don't know what Blade of Vow is, it's a very strong weapon and it's very cheap. Or Rebuke of the Vow, my bad. It's this weapon right here. It just gives a lot of flat damage. It's extremely high DPS essentially. And yeah, this is very good for non-crit. So if you want to see a non-crit until red maps, I highly recommend buying this weapon as it will vastly improve your DPS. So yeah, Rebuke of the Vow. Besides that, Bandit, there's very basic questions here because, I got a lot of these questions by chat. So yeah, Bandit, Elira, or Oak, or one passive, doesn't really matter, all are valid. Elira just makes it easier to gear up in early maps. Pantheon, Brian King, and Ralakesh for the minor. How to get intelligence, Carnage Heart is a big part of it. The 30 int on the tree, Wisdom of the Gale, or Glade, which is right here. Or just one piece with intelligence. So I don't have this, as have, int on my helmet, and I'm well overcapped intelligence that I need for this build. So how do I get tankier? So honestly, with a lot of new players playing my build, someone's saying, oh wow, I'm dying quite a bit. Like, hey, it was supposed to be this squishy. How do I get tankier? And the thing is, you can't play it like a melee build. It is a ranged build in disguise. You don't want to be up in front of the boss, up in front of any mob and tanking them. If a mob's hitting you, meleeing you, that means you're just playing the build wrong. You have to be moving backwards, attacking. They get to you, move backwards, right? You have to be playing kind of like a ranger, but you still gotta be a little bit close to melee to get the double hit off. How to get tankier is here's a few steps. Uber Lab helps a lot. Having both Masterful Form and Brutal Fervor is massive for defense, as they're both just massive DRs. Spell suppression, not even just cap, but just having some spell suppression with chance to spell is lucky. So the mastery right here, I'm not any spell suppress cap, but just having this wheel with lucky goes a long way and really reduces your deaths. And then of course, just more life on gear and like taking all the +1 frenzy nodes, because +1 frenzy is also +1 endurance charge. Valpack. So I took Valpack off my builds. I don't recommend to go Valpack currently unless you're doing content that really benefits from Valpack. It is very strong, but I think people are kind of using it in the wrong situations, and that's why I took it off my builds. So I will link to new PoE down below. But yeah, if you're struggling with health regen and you have Valpack, just take it off. It's not a big deal. You don't need Valpack to play this build. You still get the full Slayer Overleach value. Also, 5 link setup, so you can just read this. Some people are just asking, hey, I don't have a 6 link, what do I go for a 5 link? Auras to use. So auras to use is essentially always anger and grace. After that, you can decide between precision or herald of ice. Later down the line, once you get in the interrogation, you would want to use skitterbots instead of herald of ice or precision. And keep in mind, if you have Harry's Truth, you have to use the precision from Harry's Truth. So you can't use herald of ice. Mana feels bad. This is one thing a lot of people said as well. If your mana feels bad during campaign, it just kind of is. That's just how melee level it is. You have to use a mana flask. There's no getting around it. Eventually, when you're in maps, mana's really fine. You just take this one life and mana leech node, and all your mana issues are solved forever. And of course, you also need Thrill of Battle. So yeah, Thrill of Battle with this 1 point essentially solves all your mana issues once you get into maps. And if you do need to take this node, feel free to take it. This will also vastly reduce your mana cost. And also inspiration as well. Usually inspiration needs to go in your 5th or 6th link. It does not need to be in the 4th link, but yeah, keep that in mind. So when do you swap from two-hander to claw campaign? So anytime is fine, but I personally prefer Act 4 to 5. This is a question I got a lot of as well. You want to do two-hander from at least Act 1 to Act 3. That's just very, very high, nice damage. After that, you can go two-hander all the way up until Act 10. But yeah, eventually you do want to swap to one-handers. It's just awesome because it's just way faster. There is no exact time to switch. Just switch whenever you have 2 good one-handers to go. So how do you generate endurance charges? This is a question I got all the time, and it's just 2 ways. So the first way is passive of the Unyielding. This gives you endurance charge on kill. This will always keep you topped off on endurance charges while mapping. No issue whatsoever. But on bosses, you have to use Endurance Cry. So this is only for bosses. You don't have to press this while mapping. But if you're fighting a boss, let's say Quest Exarch, Quest Eater, you know, if you can't kill mobs, you have to press this because endurance charges are, you know, the majority of your defense. One thing is try to get 20 quality Lightning Strike. So you can get 20 quality by doing a Merc and Uber Lab. You should probably only need to run 1 Merc and 1 Uber Lab total. So your first ones, and you'll have a 20 quality Lightning Strike. The reason why this is important is because Lightning Strike with 4 projectiles is kind of bad because when you attack, the middle projectile, like they go left and right, and there's no middle projectile, meaning if you're attacking a mob from far away, you might just miss them just by aiming at them. With the 5th projectile, you get the middle projectile back. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, but do try to get a 20% quality Lightning Strike. I prefer it over Val Lightning Strike, and eventually down the line, you'll have a Val Lightning Strike with 20% quality as well. So how do I bleed? Another common question. So your Lightning Strike does do physical damage because we aren't fully converted. Only 50% of Lightning Strike is converted to lightning damage, meaning the other 50% is still pure physical damage. And any amount of physical damage can bleed as long as you have some chance to bleed, which we do have right here from this very, very strong crit wheel, as it gives a ton of critical strike chance and a ton of critical strike multiplier. So yeah, the only thing you have to do to bleed is just take this wheel, which is what you want to do anyway, because it gives you a ton of crit. How to get Pierce? So just from the passive skill tree right here, piercing shots, that's it. This is all the Pierce you ever need. Later down the line, we can get like +2 Pierce on gloves, and we can get Pierce on helmet, and then you take this out and save some points. But yeah, what do you upgrade first? So this is very, you know, a person-to-person basis, and I understand if you are new, it might be complicated and hard to know what to upgrade first. But generally, the weapon is the best item to upgrade in this game, especially if you are a attack-based build. So yeah, upgrade your claw first, always a priority. You really want to claw up with attack speed and critical strike chance, and then the highest LA DPS you can get. After that, go for a Taman. If you have more currency, get interrogation, stuff like that. Some nice early game items you can get is also Prison Weave. This gives a lot of flat damage. You'll eventually replace this in late game, but for early on, especially for entering maps, this is a lot of damage. And what filter do I use? So on my profile, if you're in my Twitch chat, you just type in the filter command. It's also in my Google Docs. I link down below in every YouTube video. So I use early maps, it's called, and this is what I use when I enter maps. And then when I enter tier 16s, I switch over to early league tier 16s, which just hides a lot more loot. It only shows like stuff that you should be picking up. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I might have missed a few questions, so I hope this helps a lot of people who are maybe, you know, new to the game or maybe struggling, not really sure what they're supposed to do with the build, and all that. You know, this build is very, very strong. I have had a lot of fun with it, and I've made quite a bit of currency already. Only have like 5 divines in stash, but I also have 2 Tamens. I have a absolutely sick claw, tier 2, tier 2, tier 3 crit attack speed. This is better than the claw I had in my, you know, day 1 POB. So yeah, my gear is really, really good. I had a lot of fun playing this character. You know, so it's probably worth somewhere around like, I want to say maybe like 20 to 25 divines. And hopefully tomorrow I'll have a header as well. And yeah, I'll be streaming on Twitch, of course. Probably another long stream tomorrow. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this helped.